Story Thumbelina. One day, a lady goes to see a fairy. Good fairy, she says, I want a tiny, pretty girl. Can you help me, please? Yes, says the fairy, and she gives the lady a red flower. At home, the lady looks into the flower. She sees a tiny, pretty girl. The lady says, You are tiny, like my thumb. You are Thumbelina. Thumbelina is happy. The lady gives her a tiny bed and tiny toys to play with. A toad comes to see Thumbelina. You are pretty, she says. I want you to marry my son. The toad takes Thumbelina to the water. She says, Stay on this leaf. I have to look for my son. Thumbelina can't swim. She has to stay on the leaf. The toad comes with her son. He looks at Thumbelina. Yes, he says, I want to marry this pretty girl. Thumbelina is not happy. She says, I do not want to marry a toad. A fish sees Thumbelina. Can I help you? He says. Yes, please help me, says Thumbelina. The toad wants to marry me. I want to go home, but I can't swim. The fish says, You don't have to swim. This leaf is like a boat. The fish helps Thumbelina to go home. This is fun, says Thumbelina. She can see flowers and birds and rabbits. Up in a tree, a maybug sees Thumbelina on the leaf. He takes her up to his home. The maybug looks at Thumbelina. You are not a maybug like me, he says. I do not want you here. Thumbelina goes down to some flowers. I can have this red flower for my home, says Thumbelina. I can have apples to eat, and I can play with the birds, with the rabbits. Thumbelina is happy in her new home. One day, Thumbelina goes to look for some apples. It is cold. I can't see any apples, she says. She goes to her red flower. It is dead. A field mouse comes to see Thumbelina. I'm cold, says Thumbelina. Please help me. The good field mouse wants to help Thumbelina. Come into my home. It's not cold, she says. You can eat with me. The field mouse has a tiny home. She says, You can stay and help me here. Thumbelina is happy to stay with the field mouse. She helps her. You are a good pretty girl, says the field mouse. One day, a mole comes. He likes Thumbelina. The field mouse says, I want you to marry the mole. He can give you a good home. The mole says to Thumbelina, Come and see my home. It's in a tunnel. A bird is in the tunnel. The mole says the bird is dead. Thumbelina says, No, he is not dead. He is cold. Thumbelina gives the bird some flowers for a bed. She helps the bird to get up. One day he comes out of the tunnel. You can go home, says Thumbelina. Goodbye, bird. The field mouse helps Thumbelina to look for some flowers for a new dress. I do not want to marry the mole, says Thumbelina. I can see the birds and the flowers and the trees in the tunnel. Thumbelina looks at the flowers and the trees. Goodbye, flowers, she says. She sees some birds. Goodbye, birds, she says. One bird comes down to see her. It is the bird that was in the tunnel. Come with me to my house, he says to Thumbelina. You can see the flowers and the rabbits. Thumbelina goes with the bird. Up, up they go. Thumbelina can look down on the trees. Goodbye, field mouse, she says. Goodbye, mole. They come to the home of the bird. Here we are, says the bird. You can get down. Thumbelina sees some tiny girls and boys in the red flowers. You look like me, she says. The tiny girls and boys are happy to see her. You can stay here and marry a tiny boy, says one girl. Thumbelina is happy. Yes, she says, I want to stay here. This will be my home.